Hello friends, welcome to my channel Q Analysis, and I'm your host Prashant Kumar. Today we are going to talk about how to build a good automation test framework. So friends, without wasting any further time, I'm going ahead and starting with this webinar. So this is the framework which I'll be discussing in our today's webinar, and I'll tell you how you can create a Selenium framework or an automation framework using Selenium, through which from starting till end, how can you cover the important topics and what are those? So as you see, here we have a framework in which we start with the application under testing, and then we have Selenium WebDriver. This driver can be used for any kind of browser, let's say Safari, Chrome, Firefox, whatever browser you want to use. And then the second component is you have Selenium core and test, which is our test framework. So our test framework is divided into three parts. One is driver, other is core, and third is test. And then for CI/CD integration, we have Maven. For unit test cases, we have used TestNG. And for reporting, we can have reports in HTML formats, which can be customized, or you can even use third-party libraries for generating test results. And then we have driver manager, which will be used for creating web drivers instances. And then we have web element wrapper for different kind of web elements which are to be used in our testing. We'll be using page object model as well, and browser setting, and it will be a data-driven framework. So guys, I'll give you step-by-step explanation how exactly you can go ahead and what are the things you should keep in your mind for designing such kind of automation framework. For folks who have already done it in past, it can act as a revision. In case you are new to automation testing and you want to develop your own framework, in that case, you can watch this video till end. You can watch this webinar till end, and you'll, in case you have any question or query, you can post it into my chat channel, or you can ask it over here in the comment section of the video. One more request, if you haven't subscribed my channel yet, please feel free to do so. You can find many informative videos on automation testing, performance testing, or anything related to testing. Plus, many career guidance and career path related information is present over there. Also, I do provide information regarding management. So if you haven't subscribed, please feel free to subscribe, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. So without wasting any further time, I'll go ahead and explain the steps which are used for designing a good automation test framework. First, tool selection. You have to be very smart in case of selecting the tool. There are so many tools which are available in market. Many of them are commercial tools, but then you have to pay a price for it, and I'm not sure what is your company policy requirement. Most of the companies, they're going for cost cutting. So in case if we have a free tool, and when I say free tool, it means open source, and Selenium is the best candidate for such kind of tools. You can go ahead and use it. Selenium provides an API called WebDriver, which enables testers to craft their test in many programming languages, maybe like Java, C hash, or Python, etc. So you get many options. Ruby. Also, it is easy to integrate on Android and iOS via Appium. So that also you can do. I've also created one more video regarding the Appium thing. You can find it in description or in my channel videos. Then you have to select the programming language. Once you have the tool which has been selected, in our case we have selected Selenium, then you have to select or choose the programming language. From architectural point of view, very first question which you should ask is, in what form do I want to write my test? There are several competing choices, such as keyword-driven, behavioral-driven code, or any kind of a hybrid structure can also be used. So you have to first identify what would be the form in which you are writing your test, and then you have to find the answer to this question: what language do your company or your client prefer in order to write their softwares? So if it is Java, then integration writing cases in Java or writing framework in Java will be beneficial for you. If it is some other language, you can use the same. Who will use the framework to write the test cases? Once the framework is developed, who is going to use it? So all the other testers and teams who are going to work, what is their language? Or what is the programming language that they're going to use in future? So depending on that, you should use the correct, or you should use the best possible combination of language for your framework. Choose a unit test framework. Now you have to select a unit test framework, which would be something like there are a lot many unit test framework, but in our case, we have selected TestNG. So I'll tell you, you have to select unit test framework that should help you to mark a class or a method as a part of unit testing using annotations. And then you have to perform assertion and verification. It should be allowed by your test framework. You can either use JUnit or you can use TestNG. Same way, you have to figure out how can you execute test cases from ID or command line or using C or CD. That should also be supported. It should generate proper logs, produce XML or HTML reports for the test executions, group and prioritize test cases. It should help you to group and prioritize the test cases and execute test cases in parallel. So looking into all these things, as I mentioned, in this framework, I'll be giving an example of TestNG, but you can anytime use any other your test framework as per uh, your ease or your preference. It's totally up to you. Then over here, we come to the very important part, which talks about creating the Selenium core. So as you remember, in the beginning, I have shown you that the whole framework is divided into three parts: WebDriver, core, and test. So now we are going to talk about the core component. Core component of the uh, Selenium framework will have something like this. So these are the different tests which you user want to perform. Login test, logout test, and this is the order which is to be used. And then the driver manager factor will go ahead and create the drivers. And we have abstract class driver manager, which will have certain methods: create WebDriver and get WebDriver and quit WebDriver. And then you can use it for any of the browsers, may it be Chrome, may it be IE, may it be Firefox, may it be Edge. So Selenium core will control and manage the browser instances as well as the element interactions. This core will help you to create, reuse, destroy WebDriver objects. In this framework, we will use factory design patterns for creating the WebDriver objects. So I'll give you an example. What are we going to do using factory design patterns down the slide, so don't worry about that. One WebDriver object, as the name suggests, drives the browser instance moving from web page to web page. The test writer should not care about how the browser instances are created. The whole idea of framework is that you should not worry about how your tests are going to interact with the drivers and what you have to do. Everything can be abstracted and can be set in a different part of the framework or a different model of framework. That tester or the automation tester or developer who is writing the test, he should just be confined to the user functionality which he is going to automate, or the test case which he is going to automate, and should not worry about the abstract layers. In above diagram, you can see that driver manager is an abstract class. I was talking about this, dictating that that its implementation must provide methods such as create WebDriver, get WebDriver, and quit WebDriver. It had its own method, driver method, which can be used to easily manage the browser. At our project, we have an enum, which is driver type, and you can see it can be either of this: Chrome, Firefox, IE, and Safari. We have defined everything in advance, so you don't have to worry. Depending upon the browser under test, user can go ahead and use it, or the test case can be written as per any driver. Driver manager factory is a factory that manufactures driver manager objects for you. You invoke the driver manager method of this class with your driver type to receive driver manager object type. Since driver manager is an object class, you won't receive an actual so that is the whole concept of abstract class. Abstract class cannot be accessed, and all you receive is its implementations, one of its implementations, right? So over here we can see Chrome driver manager, Firefox driver managers. So in driver manager factory we have Chrome, Firefox, and default is IE driver manager. So in this way, driver managers, they create different kind of implementations. And in this example, you can see the test writer doesn't care whether the web driver is a Chrome driver or something else. All he does is he's calling get driver manager, driver type, and Chrome. It will get him the whole instance for using. So actually, he is not having any problem in order to use, and he is not dependent upon uh, creating or instantiating a driver at runtime in order to use it. Same way you can see in this test case, it's a normal test where the user is going and visiting, navigating to google.com and verifying the page title. If the page title is google.com or not, whether the user is visiting the page with the title google.com or not. It's a simple test case, right? So over here, user who is writing this test case or the tester who is writing this test case, he does not have to worry about WebDriver and creation and destroying or using a WebDriver. He just go ahead and call one of the instances and he can go ahead and use it. Now we come to the second part, which is Selenium test component. Now Selenium, we talked about the core component. Now we'll talk about the Selenium test component. In this Selenium test component, we'll use page object model, POM. Page object model applying POM means you organize the UI components, UI elements in pages. A page can also include actions or business flow, which is very important that a user can perform on the page. For instance, if your web application includes several pages such as login page, home page, register page, etc., you will create corresponding page objects such as login page, home page, register page, etc. Thanks to the smart structure of POM, if a UI has any page changes, you don't have to update the test. All you need to do is to refactor the code of the page model. So just imagine a scenario, you have certain pages, and if at all there is anything happening to one of the page UI, you go ahead and change the page object model and all your test cases will be running again. You don't have to worry about changing all your test cases, right? So this was the example of Selenium test component with page object model. Let's see an example of page object model. A constructor that receives a WebDriver object sets internal WebDriver to that object. A selector that helps the WebDriver object find the object web elements you want to interact with. For example, username text, this one, and methods to perform the login page such as set username, set password, and click login, and most important, login method that combine all these methods above. So for this, you see this login method is having all this, some of these methods taken together, and it is using these values. Similarly, you can see this one, set username, set user password, and then click login. Now, in order to use a page object, you have to understand few things. You can simply create a new page login object and call its method. Since you abstract the web element definitions, selectors from the test writer, he or she does not know how to find the username text box. He or she just calls the login method and passes the username and password. If the element definitions or selectors happen to change, you did not update all the test cases. This is what we talked about, right? We don't have to worry about the actual object. All we need to, in our test, we can go ahead and call a selector or an instance and go ahead and use it. Meanwhile, in POM, if we make any changes, it will be applied to all the tests. So this is what is an example for get driver on a driver type Chrome. You can see this is the example. User is going ahead and using it. Now, once we have this core, test, and WebDriver, Selenium, all these three components ready, then we have to think about the reporting mechanism. Now, trust me, guys, what is the main purpose of automation testing? The main purpose of automation testing or coming up with the kind of automation thing is once you have a test cases which is running and which is executing, you have put in a lot many information on that and lot many user actions or business flows they are taking place. Post that, all you need to do is generate a test report, and this test report should be good enough. It should explain to you what exactly went right and what went wrong, what was the issue. All this information should be shared with the final user so that he can identify what went wrong and what went right. And it should be in user understandable format. There are a lot many options available out there for logging your automated test, right? So, for example, frameworks like JUnit, they often generate XML formats which can be easily consumed by other software like CI and CD Server, Jenkins, but they are not human readable formats. Trust me. So, in that case, you need to use third-party libraries such as Extent Report, Allure that can create test report, which are very much in readable format for the human beings. You can also create pie chart and screenshots with the help of ReportNG. ReportNG creates a simple HTML reporting, and it is a plugin for TestNG. So you can use it, and it is very easy to understand. Now, once we have the reporting mechanism, finally, we have to decide how to build the this whole framework and version control and implementation of CI and CD. For this, you need to have a build tool, which it, build tool depends on the dependency manager. So you can use any build tool such as Maven, Gradle, Ant, NPM, or NuGet. So it depends upon whatever is being used in your project or whichever suits your need the best. You can go ahead and use it. In this case, I'm showing an example of Maven, which is used to execute our case, Maven clean test. And then for version control, it is very important to have a proper version control. Like, for example, every time you merge, commit, or add, update, or delete any kind of code or test cases, so there should be a proper version control to be maintained, and it can be done via GitHub, bucket list, or TFS. This is very important because guys, you put so much of effort in writing automation tests, and it should be maintainable, it should be scalable, right? And any point of time, just because of somebody's mistake, others should not suffer. And in order to have it, version control is very, very important part, and you should always have integration with GitHub or bucket list or TFS, or whichever is suitable for you. Now, CI/CD integration. Most popular CI/CD integration include Jenkins, Bamboo, TFS. These are the few popular ones. So you can integrate using GitHub. You can, in my case, using Jenkins and GitHub, we have it the CI/CD integration. So in case if you want, let me know. I can also come up with a similar kind of presentation, and I can help you. If you are really interested to learn about DevOps, there are certain videos which I have already made in past, and that will help you to understand how exactly CI and CD integration works and what is the role of a tester. So friends, with this, we come to the end of this quick presentation on how to build a good automation test framework. I understand this is not a detailed or elaborative framework related information, but still, I'd like to tell you that if you are really interested to learn more, all you can do it by taking the concept and start working. And with practicing, you can improve on your automation skills. And in case you have any question, queries, and if you're stuck in your career, feel free to let me know. I do provide mentorship services, and I can help you with consulting services regarding software testing and guide you with your career in software testing or automation testing. So feel free to get in touch. Thank you, friends. See you in my next video. Take care. Bye-bye.